So I'm really just watching these and trying to stay on top of businesses that have real business models and can make money, like Filecoin. Again, once the AI projects start to pick up, then they're going to need to store their data, and they're not going to want to have it on centralized exchanges like AWS or Microsoft Azure. So I think that will drive that Filecoin revenue. So Filecoin, again, healing we talked about. ICP is starting to bounce off of a lower trend channel. I'm just not quite seeing these signals turn green yet like I'd like to. I'm monitoring these closely, and we'll keep you guys in mind and updated. Metaverse really just has died, and I think this is it's an industry that's not ready yet. Burn Universe, Decentraland, see Sandbox. I can't even remember the name of these. It's been so long since we got into these, but the charts don't look good. I have them on our radar. That may be a next cycle. Metaverse, the gaming is so strong, and the graphics in the mainstream gaming arena that there's no real reason and rationale for going into gaming and for these gamers to be playing the games, other than maybe at some point you'll be able to buy a cooler sword with your Ethereum and pay high gas fees. But they've got to get those gas fees down. So I just don't see gaming taking off just yet. Transaction speed market, Solana, Aptos, Sui, yes. Even say potentially at some point, Cadena, no, and Metis, just kind of put those at the bottom of the list. These are offshore programs, and they're going to have trouble with that, since Solana and some of these others are US based, like Sui, it won't be taxable with capital gains. And so for those reasons, I'm not recommending Cadenas and Meta. Go with the leaders, Solana, Aptos, Sui, and potentially Say. Also, Sui has an active ecosystem like SuiPad and SuiSwap. SuiPad is a launch pad, and you can buy these on MEXC. So we are starting to see these things to go green here. Once it breaks out into a new trend channel at some point, these can deliver outsized returns. Just kind of watching for that to give us that breakout and give us the reason. But to start dabbling in this, it makes sense. So SuiSwap is going to be like Uniswap, so again, revenue generating, and always profitable businesses are going to outperform. Launchpad is where Sui, because it's its own layer 1 blockchain, the layer 2s can come out and build on Sui, and they've got a number of exciting projects. And so this is a very nascent industry here, 0.02374 cents. If you get in this early, you put $100, $200, $300 on that, 500 on MEXC, hold on to it. It certainly has a lot of potential, and we're getting our first weekly bullish divergence on that at the lower end of a parallel trend channel. So that's all I really wanted to cover there. Ondo Finance is the world of DeFi, kind of struggling a bit. I like Ondo. The Ondo Summit either just happened or is coming up. A lot of good things happening with DeFi and Ondo and also Lido. Those are the two in the DeFi market. But a lot of sell pressure on Lido overhead. Not loving that chart so much. Other than that, we are not seeing a whole lot of excitement in these markets. Just kind of run through some of these micro caps that we haven't looked at in a while. And again, I want to be very careful not to start buying into everything, hoping for a big 100x. This cycle is different. The meme coins drained a lot of the money out of the markets, and people are underwater on them, so they're not looking to sell those meme coins at it's kind of at the bottom. And it's funny because I had suggested meme coins were the cancer of this market, and then someone else said the same thing a few days later. They really were. They pulled down the market out of the altcoin market. So, unfortunately, a lot of these other altcoins are probably not going to come back around and may not survive the next cycle. I'm just clicking around on these. I don't remember what the demo is. And so this is exactly what we don't want to be doing, is looking for opportunity when there isn't any. It's like the old saying, if you're a carpenter and all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So we want to kind of limit these, and maybe going through and pulling some of these out of our watch list and including some of the ones we previously were in. But I want to give that a little bit more time and a chance to recover. So with that, guys, stay patient, hold tight. This is that study where the path to 150K and 200K Bitcoin. I keep adjusting this to see where it might sort of land. On this chart, we do see the sort of four potential angles that we see in a bull run. And once we see these fourth angle violation is typically when we see the bull market over. So opening that up, the first angle on this chart here going back for that long-term support all the way through here where Bitcoin bounced off of in the depths of the bear market in December of 2022. Then we kind of put in a higher angle here, which goes out to there, and then a steeper angle, which is that third angle. So what we're watching for is can we start building that fourth blow off top angle, which could get us here to that 200K. So that's what we'll be watching for. It's still potentially in play, and if we get that, that could get us to 150K, a little bit over, and the pullbacks. But any violation of that angle, once it's proven itself, would be strong signal get out of this market, along with our other signals and our bear market red alert signals that we'll be watching for. We do have a lot of these reasons on the bullish scenario, but everything's kind of gone quiet. All of these like corporate FOMO kind of cooled off. The de-dollarization in the whole BRICS nations, it's kind of happening. We're getting off that petrodollar 50-year deal we had with Saudis. The Saudis, it's still there. It just we're not seeing a whole lot of news out of that. We didn't see QE money printing yet to pay down the debt. With the elections, it still has a question mark. And BlackRock ETFs, of course, we did, has a green check mark. Bank term funding program, bank failures, didn't see a lot of that. That may not happen. Country adoption, as Mike was saying, earlier, that the U.S., much bigger than El Salvador. We just need another big country to come out and say, hey, yeah, we're going to do that also. But it seems a lot of them are waiting for the U.S. to actually do it. And even though Trump announced that was happening, the one thing I will mention that is smoldering, and we could add to this, is I'm not sure if you've heard about this, Mike, but they're talking about revaluing gold and
Yeah,
selling that. And so that would be interesting if they revalued and gold at a much higher price and push Bitcoin to 700,000 and then use that to kind of pay down our debt. Do you want to chime in on that at all? I think that would be.
sure. Yeah, so the gold has been it's almost yeah, well there's a couple things that can happen there. So it's similar to, let's say, you've got a house and you live in a state in which your property tax doesn't go up with the overall market value of the house. It goes in for what you bought it for, right? So you bought your house in La Jolla, California in 1960 for, 50 grand, and now it's worth $6 million. And you're paying your property taxes based on the original valuation, right? But it's up 10x since then. Uh, it's similar to how gold is in the US. The last time we valued gold was 1972 or 73, somewhere around there. And gold, I believe at the time was like, I want to say it was 45 or $47 an ounce. And now it's around 3,000. So we could revalue the gold. What I'm not clear on is that if we revalue the gold, is there any like negative financial impact to that? Kind of like, I mean, I guess not, because we don't really need to like finance it like a house. We don't pay property taxes on our gold. Um, but you can revalue the gold, but doesn't that mean you'll have to take out debt against the gold? I guess I need to look this up, but it is possible. I thought that was a way that Pomp had covered. I did that in the last Moonstream webinars. He listed out like 7 different ways that the U.S. could acquire Bitcoin in a budget neutral way, and one of those was to revalue the gold. I'll just go back and I'll have to look at exactly how that works, but yeah, I mean, that's absolutely something we could do. And I think that we should swap out some of that gold, not all of it, but even if we swapped out 10% of our gold stores with Bitcoin, that would be a big deal, a very big deal. And lastly, we could also sell some of our government strategic cheese stockpile that we have, and replace that with Bitcoin, which I think might make a bit more sense.
Still makes me laugh. Yeah. And so the whole point of that is that I think came under pressure. President Trump came under pressure with the idea of buying Bitcoin, which might cost taxpayer dollars. So this would be, as Mike described, a way to start buying Bitcoin without having taxpayers to foot the bill. So by revaluing gold and selling some in the world markets would be a very creative way to do that. So we'll have to watch that and see if that's one of these things we can add to the 11 factors that could drive us to 150K, 200K Bitcoin. But also really want to be careful of our own confirmation bias. I don't know that we'll get to 150 to 200K. My models were showing that both here and the bull flag breakout, but this cycle is definitely is different and behaving unpredictably. So just revisiting this, putting it on our radar, all of these things kind of pointing toward a higher Bitcoin, and if if the U.S. starts buying a lot, we still have that post having reduced miner supply, but more importantly, that demand surge, the exchange supply, how much is there? So, and I think somebody was saying was Michael Saylor was saying, even if we just valued Bitcoin as a currency in relation to gold, it should be worth 20 trillion market cap. And if it's around 2 trillion now, that's a 10x. So even a 5x would be significant this cycle. So there's all these things in favor of, and I can't think of many reasons why we wouldn't keep pushing up higher. But other than the play now of in that specter of killing risk assets because they're trying to get inflation down so that they can force the Fed to reduce interest rates so that they can refinance at $7 trillion in debt at lower interest. So that seems to be in play. But once that the foot is off the proverbial neck with that, then they can really hit the gas once we get that 7 trillion refinance. So I think there's a lot of macroeconomic plays or forces at play here, and so we'll have to see and just wait it out and watch the charts, you guys. So really, I think you'll be rewarded for your patience. It's not a time to go all in. I will say soon, and maybe next week. I'll keep you guys posted. I'm really watching those weekly signals that are showing green, but if we see the market sell off, those could disappear and could kick the can down the road a little bit farther. So that's all I really wanted to talk about. Certainly political support and Cynthia Olympus reintroducing the Bitcoin Reserve Bill. Have to see how that goes. And some comments here. David says, thanks, guys. I'm long and I'm chill. Yeah, there you go. The longer outlook, it just started dollar cost averaging and accumulating. It's not a time to panic. We're oversold on most of these. So even though I'm not putting out specific buy orders, it's a good time to be accumulating. I've been and just sort of dollar cost averaging on these things. And my greens that I'm in are Bitcoin, Solana, Filecoin. Feel pretty good that I sold Bitcoin at 106 and bought it back right around 78K. Just a little, but we'll be dollar cost averaging on that and these other ones. So up to you. If you have any questions, we're always in the chat. And so that's all I have for you guys this week. Not much to report. We're still in the waiting game, waiting pattern. And if you guys have any questions, if not, I'll turn it back over to Mike for any closing thoughts.
No, nothing really for me. I'm in the same thing. We want to see the rockets get fired and have a little bit more movement up before we jump in anything. And it's really Trump's game right now. I hate to say that because I hate it all riding on one thing, but the tariff thing needs to resolve. So um, you know let's wait till April 4 before making any big position changes. Because or April 2nd, there we go. Because that's when all this tariff stuff is really supposed to kick in. So we'll see how the market reacts around that.
Awesome. All right, everybody, good class. And for those of you watching the replay, any questions, just hit us up in the chat. And we'll see you guys next week. Hey, this is Brett from Moonstream. If you'd like to learn more about our pro trading signals or our live classes every Wednesday or our Retire Rich program, go over to moonstream.io/start.